I've been turned into a robot and didn't even know it. Was Hal Jordan a robot this entire time? A robot built by somebody with a love of cake? Green Lantern 36 will answer that burning question. Have you never wondered if you were secretly a robot? Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from comics new and old to history to anecdotes, truly wherever our whims take us. This video was supposed to be Jon Stewart's first appearance video. That to prep for the Green Lantern Beware My Power review. And then this cover flitted back into my life and I got distracted and I had to do it first. It wouldn't leave me alone. Since we've been working through Silver Age covers, it seemed like a good time. I had this already. I know that Jerk Superman won the vote. Don't worry, he's coming and not planning on letting anyone have water. There's something about the cover of Green Lantern 36 that haunts me. Maybe it's the extra realistic inking on the man being punched in the face. Maybe it looks like Hal's tweaking out because Gil Kane drew his pupils like little points in his mask. The story Secret of the Power Ring Robot comes to us from 1965. It's written by Gardner Fox with art by Gil Kane. And inks by Sid Green. Julius Schwartz was the editor, and this looks a bit like one of his cover first, story later outings, which he was fond of pushing for. Those yield some fascinating results, and this may be one of them. Green Lantern's a robot! Nobody ever suspected it! Lies? I'm a comic book reader. I'm always prepared for somebody to secretly be a robot. Or just openly be a robot. We open on Carol Ferris, president of Ferris Aircraft Company, in a fantastic dress, going to put some fighter plane plans in the safe, when suddenly they're stolen right out of her hands. My word, I want to dress like this. Who stole the plans? Why, a clown. A clown on a pogo stick. She turns around just in time to see a toy clown on a pogo stick hop through the office. That animated toy must have leaped behind me, grabbed the plans out of my hand, and kept on jumping. Somebody stop it! How did she not feel it pulling those giant plans out of her hand? She was holding on to them. Hal Green Lantern Jordan has also been working late. Doing what? Also yes to giving Hal situational based middle names. I already do it with Hal Hot Mess Jordan. Let's just add to the list. Puts them down below. Carol yells at him to stop that clown, and he tries, lands flat on his face. Only a few panels in and Hal is on the ground. So all's right with the world. Silver Age Hal was a klutz, and it was great, and I miss it. Carol is out the building at this point, so Hal can't become Green Lantern, and they give chase to the clown in his car. But before that, he does use his ring to create an invisible power signature trail that he can track later. Cause this is the Silver Age, and his ring can do anything unless there's something yellow around. Hal and Carol are in hot pursuit. That plaything must be remote controlled. There's no time to tell the guard what happened. Keep going, Hal, faster. I'll pay for any damage, just keep going. But the clown dives off a cliff into the water, and so they can't follow. Hal sends Carol back in his car and says that he'll call the police somehow and meet her later at the station. But really, he's off to be Green Lantern. And better investigate first before barging blindly in there. Anyone who can work a toy like that can be a tough customer. He can work a remote control. Look out. That's one tough cookie. I jest. Flying a drone can be an art. Green Lantern tries to set about eavesdropping, but at first it's not working, but he doesn't miss much, just that the creator is bragging about how his creations have mechanisms as delicate as Swiss watches. And the spy is saying that he has spy money for the plans for the plane. He literally calls it spy money. It makes me like to think that he divides all of his money as necessary. Spy money, drug money, groceries. Hal then sets up his listening device the other way on the other side of the house and gets it to work that way. Just in time to hear that there's deadly radiation in the room, but each person inside is wearing a neutralizer, but anyone else would die instantly. They don't specify why there's radiation or where exactly it's coming from. It's just in the room. It's there because Green Lantern needs some kind of obstacle because he's essentially a god at this point. There's something about seeing Hal's eyes drawn into the mask unsettling. It's clear now, since I couldn't power ring the microphone inside the room, that the radiation in there has a yellow base. Okay. As for the crook's plans, first, top secret fighter plane plan stolen by a clown on a pogo stick. Next, an ancient coin collection stolen from a millionaire courtesy of a little rag picker doll. He's gonna climb up the building with little suction cup feet. Something about the name rag picker sounds really ominous, even though it's just someone who would pick and sell rags. Can't they get a more themed doll for the coin heist? I guess they're not going for theme. Hal says he could just wait until they come out and capture them all then, but he really wants the plans that instant. So suddenly he's bursting into the room and not dying of radiation poisoning. On steel food legs, the green gladiator leaps into the room, vaulting a table. I always forget that they used to call him that sometimes. It's so extra. It also looks like he's taken them out with his butt. Buns of steel. Cheer up, fella, you'll soon be on your way to jail. We can't let Hal talk anymore. More vaulting. The other mobster rises to his feet in time to meet the Emerald Crusader swing around a pole lamp. Yep, Hal's on that pole, alright. But suddenly he hits a mobster so hard his hand flies off. Hey look it, Green Lantern's really a robot! I love this panel of Hal standing caked out, just staring at the circuits on his wrist. But the toy maker mobster now has a plan. He freezes Hal in an awkward position with an electromagnet. And then they all take turns trying to hurt him by doing things like shooting him at point blank range or trying to smash him with a giant mallet. But Robot Hal is nigh invulnerable. He's only slightly annoyed. So they decide to just leave him there and go out after the coin collection, and they'll figure it out when they get back. So if Hal just waited 5 minutes outside, he could have gotten those plans and this sweet rag picker doll. So now Hal is in this room. He's stuck there. There's invisible yellow radiation, and he's a robot. But how? I altered the atomic structure of my body. It changed into a robot duplicate of myself. I have mental control over it, but that doesn't help me against these electromagnets.
I don't know what I expected.
I really don't, but it wasn't that. Can Hal turn himself into anything, anytime, as long as they're in his charge? I mean, he did turn Tom into a pigeon once by accident while he was asleep, while Hal was asleep. Sorry, I mean a seagull. And while Tom was asleep, just in his dreams. It's too much power for one man. Thankfully, or perhaps terrifyingly, it's not wielded by a brilliant strategist. I'll turn myself into a robot because I can't wait the 5 minutes till they come out wasn't a great plan. But lo, his hand that flew off because of his excessive force is being pulled toward the wall, fist first. And once there, with the ring pointing at the wall, he can nullify the magnets through the wall so he can move again. Because as we all know, radiation can't penetrate walls. I mean, walls help, but this was supposed to be puts you down, eyes bleeding, instant comic book radiation. Seriously, they never said that the room was in any way protected because they were all wearing nullifiers. Or sorry, neutralizers. There's a gritty tie-in story for an edgelord writer. Hal suddenly dying of mysterious cancer that turns out he contracted all the way back in Green Lantern 36 while he turned himself into a robot. Hal says he can do all this, by the way, because he can control his ring within a radius up to 100 yards. So he's free and he changes back into his body, but outside. And he shows up just in time to stop the coin robbery. The last time I hit this guy was with a metallic fist. Now he can sample the real stuff. Well, I mean, if his metallic body was so strong it could just withstand the full force of a mallet and not be damaged in any way, I think his metal fist would do a lot more damage. More painful. I'm amazed this guy still has a job. Keep the metal hands. Spare yourself the pain. I was always taught not to punch people because it would break all the bones in my hand. I like having intact hands. But these mobsters want to see Hal in pieces. Their plan is to hit him with their car. So he creates an invisible wall in front of himself and totals it. He could really free people out if he just used the ring's powers but invisible. He'd look like an extremely powerful telekinetic. Now it's time they were on the receiving end of my power-ringed fists. So Hal takes the criminals, goes and gets the police, and then has them all come back to the hideout. It's now free of deadly yellow invisible radiation. Yay, what a half-life. And then he just has them sit there until the rag picker doll comes back and is like, there you go, officers, irrefutable evidence. But it's a robot. They could just say somebody else programmed it. The one guy does have the controller, but this isn't as clean a case as Hal's making it sound like. But wait, didn't Hal have airplane plans to retrieve? Yes, and he now has to track the spy down separately because they separated outside the hideout because the spy paid his spy money and went on his way. So Hal had to use his invisible tracking trail to go get the plans anyway. So again, if Hal had just been patient and not turned himself into a robot, he would have had to do way less. But Hal got the plans back and Carol is so thrilled she says she's taking him out to dinner, her treat. She knows Green Lantern can't afford anything. Fine, but what about Hal Jordan? Stop making it weird, Hal. Carol says they'll leave word that Hal should join them at the restaurant, but the later he shows up, the better. The later he shows up. Since I'm Hal Jordan, I know that Hal isn't going to show up at all. I can't decipher what this expression is. What is it? Tell me. The end. So that's Hal Jordan is a robot. It's a story. This is an odd one. The entire thing feels very surreal, from starting off with the clown on the pogo stick, the mobsters using completely random toys to pull crimes. The robot comes out of nowhere and feels like padding because it would have been far smarter for Hal to just wait for them to leave. Although I do kind of like the idea of playing into the idea that maybe Hal's not the smartest lantern out there. He gets the job done, but perhaps not as efficiently or expediently as it could have been. Of all the ways to do the secret robot plot or surprise robot, it was certainly the least creative. Just falling into the ring can do anything category, and you would think he would need more cause to transform himself on an atomic level like that. Maybe he's just waiting for the excuse. They try for tension with the yellow radiation room, but that comes across as pretty contrived as well. Oh no, invisible yellow radiation. Yellow, it's everywhere. It really is. Wouldn't it have been great if he goes in and they're pulling their next crime with toy bananas and they just start throwing them at him? He's just down by bananas. Think about it. Crooks bombarding Hal with these bushels of bananas, and then they discover he's a merman. I've gone too far. That's too much even for the Silver Age. Now I'm trying to make it make sense. Does this story live up to the cover? Not really. The cover promises something far more intriguing and exciting than what actually transpires. It has some fun, silly moments, but on the whole, non-overly memorable Green Lantern outing. There is a second story about aliens and Hal liking a woman because she shows no interest in him, and all women show interest in him. That's the way it has to be, or he can't handle it. Don't worry, spoilers, she really did like him. She just couldn't be with him because she had to defeat the aliens, the headmen. But Hal's main takeaway is, phew, she still liked him. All is right with the universe. He looks crazed looking at this love note she left him before following the headman into space. What did you think of Hal turning himself into a robot? How would you have had it happen? What toy would you use to pull a crime? What yellow toy can defeat Hal? A Tonka truck. Share your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.